was a beautiful Sunday night game, preseason game number 2 against the Buffalo Bills, Soldier Field. Beautiful weather, at least it looked so on TV. We are far away from Chicago,
Sure.
but my heart was there. I was watching, and I was coming away a happy Bears fan. And it's hard to imagine any Bears fan walking away from last night's game without having a little bit of a smile on your face this morning. You got to have a little bit of a swagger in your step today.
That's fantastic. It puts all the naysayers on a watch list, if you will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the first thing on my list today is aside from the fact that we get the big shutout win here, 38-0, and you get to see both sides of the ball performing. And this is preseason. You never can get too far ahead of yourself.
Sure.
In preseason because, not all of Buffalo's starters were playing. Some of them were playing on defense, but not all of them. Same thing with our defense.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of our starters were playing on defense. There's some battles going on out there. Not all of our offensive linemen were playing. So, nevertheless, we heard a lot of cries last week in the press leading up to this game.
Where's Caleb?
Where's Caleb? Where's the offense? Where's this big Ben Johnson experiment that's happening? And we want to see it. We want to see the results. We want to make sure that this is cool. And we were critical of this last week because it's all a result of the instant gratification culture society that has taken over in 2025. And if it's like, if it doesn't show any movement of the needle immediately, it's not going to work. And, and that's just not how life works. In fact, you're going to fail before you succeed at almost anything new. And that includes Caleb Williams learning Ben Johnson's offensive system.
Are you trying to marry these two families together already?
Well, I want them to stay together for a long time after what I saw last night, Nika, because Caleb Williams answered that call. And there was pressure being put on him through the media, like he's not ready, or he's having a tough time grasping the offense. And that's not necessarily the case. What we heard last night during the broadcast with Joe Davis and with Greg Olsen, former Bears tight end, they put a different spin on this for me that I hadn't heard yet.
Okay.
What they said is that Ben Johnson has been purposefully overloading Caleb Williams during training camp in hopes of making the game feel easier, the in-game. And last night we started to see, I think, some of the fruits of that labor. We saw an offense that in my mind looked more modernized last night than it has ever. In my whole entire life, I've been wanting the Bears to just look like a modernized offense for as long as I've been old enough to understand the ins and outs of football.
The making practice harder than the actual game reminds me of Chicago Bulls when they were used to practicing really, really hard. But when it comes to the game, it was easy peasy.
Yeah. There's, of course, many stories about the Bulls dynasty in the 90s. But one of my favorites is that Michael Jordan doesn't get credit for being the greatest practice player of all time. And that the player that you saw show up in games with that competitive edge was the same guy that showed up in practice every day and ready to take your lunch money. In fact, we heard the story from when he was on North Carolina that he started challenging all the players one-on-one and James Worthy. And he said, within a week or two, he had learned how to beat James Worthy one-on-one. And James Worthy was a junior at the time, I think, when he was a freshman. So,
wow.
Yeah.
He leveled up
He leveled up really quickly. And that's how you level up really quickly. You got to be put in these situations where you get challenged.
Absolutely.
Or the great ones seek out ways to challenge themselves. And
you got to get out of your comfort zone in order to grow.
But either way, Caleb Williams needed some help to grow here because there's nothing wrong with his arm. There's, he can throw with the best of them. It's all about processing information at this point for him. And Ben Johnson has been riding him hard. And, we've heard mixed reviews coming out of practice. Like some people saying like, oh, he was good. And other people saying like, no, he's having a hard time with it. And I've seen him make great throws and great plays during practice just on following the Bears on social media. And, I've seen also the criticisms. I've heard the criticisms while I listen to the score and other people around the team more than I am. As I said, we're many, many miles away. Anyways, Bears win. Caleb Williams answers the call. And look at this first drive here last night. He goes 5 of 6, 97 yards, a touchdown pass, and that all-important 158.3. That is a perfect quarterback rating. You can't really get much better than that. Obviously, he could have went 5 for 6, but he got chased out of the pocket on that incompletion. And he made a pretty good throw on the run, just not good enough in that particular moment. But everything else looked different. The
Between
offense
last year,
looked different. Yes.
Between seasons.
It looked different. It looked modernized. It looked efficient, fluid. The ball was coming out quickly. The reads were therefore coming quickly. And that's a beautiful sigh of relief for a Bears fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you want to see him making those strides, making those changes. And so what I saw last night gives me a lot more optimism going into this season. You know, last year we saw Caleb Williams make some great plays in the preseason. But you know what the difference is we didn't see him look efficient like this. We didn't see the ball coming out quick like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think whatever's happening behind the scenes in practice with Ben Johnson is working with Caleb Williams right now.
That's great. That's great to hear.
And you watched the opening drive. What were your thoughts as someone that's a football fan and someone that's seen the struggles of the Bears offense in recent years? What did you think just watching that opening drive?
I think he has a lot more help on the field versus last season, where he had, this season he has more receiving hands at the end, and his thought process is a lot faster. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from seeing him in the first quarter, how he played. He is responding quicker.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's coaching.
100%. So it's good to see that high-paid coach paying off for the Bears and for the franchise and for quarterback number 1 over here in Caleb Williams. And a great performance, of course. This opening drive was capped off with a 36-yard touchdown catch from Olamide Zaccheaus with the 36-yard touchdown catch in open space. And another feature of the Ben Johnson offense that is going to get overlooked today because of everything is going to be about Caleb. The yards after the catch. Almost all of these catches featured the receiver being put in a position where they were able to get even more yards once they caught the ball. So this one, obviously, the biggest. I mean, he caught this ball around the 15-yard line. He took it the rest of the way.
Well, we know Caleb has an arm.
Caleb has an arm.
So that was never a question. It was more the aiming and the quickness of his arm.
For sure. There's an area of weakness in a lot of NFL defenses that comes between the linebacker layer and the defensive back layer. And it requires a little bit of a change of touch, you know, as you evolve your throwing style.
Okay.
And to what you would call aiming maybe. But we did see Caleb threading the needle on those kinds of passes last night. So I don't think skill in throwing the ball and accuracy is going to be something that's a problem for him in the NFL. He already has a low interception rate after last year. So as long as he continues to protect the ball that way, but also know when to take his risks and shots, and he's never going to be perfect. You got to understand that.
Yeah, he's learning to read the field different than what he used to do.
Absolutely.
And that's where you see the experienced quarterbacks come in with a lot more knowledge in that department.
This game was just an overall total domination by the Bears and speaks to something that I think is definitely paying dividends with their head coach. You can see the final numbers here for Tyson Bagent, the backup quarterback. 13 of 22, 197 yards, a touchdown, 103.8 passer rating. You know, the Bears have a pretty damn good backup. I would not be surprised at all to see Tyson Bagent become an NFL starting quarterback someday. I mean, a lot of people think he could be the starting quarterback of this Bears team, and they're probably not wrong. Again, a lot of this is about coaching, but just knowing now that Tyson Bagent is going to come out of the Ben Johnson system after all of this, won't that make him a lot more attractive to other NFL teams in the future?
Definitely. Imagine playing against him.
Oh man,
You don't want to see that.
That might be like a marquee matchup in the future. Caleb
might.
Williams versus Tyson Bagent.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, the apprentice has become the master.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It could happen.
We'll see. But if you are a Bears fan, you don't want to see Tyson Bagent become the starting quarterback, because that means either Caleb Williams has gotten badly injured or things with Ben Johnson have gone badly wrong.
Okay.
And we don't want either one of those scenarios. So
Fair
let's
enough.
hope that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson stay together for a long time.
All right.
No offense, Tyson. Look at that time of possession, 39 minutes and 17 seconds. They just almost twice as much as Buffalo. The same amount of drives. Isn't that crazy? So they each got the ball the same amount of times, but the Bears were able to hang on to it twice as long.
That's nice to see, honestly.
Yeah. 83 plays to 43 plays. That's the difference right there. Look at this. 528 yards in a preseason game of total offense. I don't remember the last time the Bears had 500 yards of offense in a regular season game, Nika.
It's all great. It's all preseason.
It is, but
you can't put too much stock into it.
But you can put it into perspective. And the last time the
Okay.
Bears shut out a team in the preseason was 1994. And the last time they scored 38 points in a preseason game was 1989.
Holy shit.
We are going back 30 plus years for both of these things. And so it's been a while. This is a sight for these sore eyes over there.
Nice.
Indeed. Well, it gets even better when you look at the individual numbers here. Passing, 357 yards. Rushing, 171 yards. Completions, 25 out of 39 passing, 9.2 yards per attempt. You know, anything over 7 yards per attempt in the NFL passing game is considered great.
Okay.
So 9.2 yards per attempt is beyond great. 2 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 4 yards per run, 43 attempts. I mean, welcome to the Ben Johnson era. He is going to run the ball, and he is going to choose his moments to utilize the passing game effectively. But he does want to establish a running game as well. The defense, I mean, outperforms Buffalo in almost every category here. Sacks, and obviously we did not turn the ball over. So hugely important. Buffalo didn't really turn the ball over either. It was a clean game for the most part here.
Did Buffalo show up to play?
You know, their number one quarterback, Josh Allen, did not play. Some of their offensive starters, I believe, did play.
Okay.
But these preseason games have really just become a position battle for the bottom of your NFL roster.
Okay,
you know?
so to fill up the holes that the team needs.
Yeah,
sort of.
I mean, it literally is like you are only as strong as your weakest link. And when you have a 53-man squad to manage, it becomes very important to make choices in that regard. But this was an overall dominating game by the Bears, and it's got everyone pretty much in Chicago feeling excited this morning, Nika, on a Monday. Now, the Cubs are playing the Brewers twice today, so that could all change really quickly. No, I'm joking. That game is actually already underway as we record this on the West Coast side of things. But nevertheless, the Bears now are almost done with training camp, Nika, and we are about to embark on the regular season. And there is just one more preseason game left, and that is this Friday. So a really quick turnaround.
Oh, wow. So it's a Friday game, not a Sunday game.
Correct. And so you bring up the key point here in that we have a very fast turnaround. The Bears will do a film session apparently today to break down all of this footage from the Buffalo game last night. Tomorrow they will practice. Wednesday they will do a full practice in pads and hit. And then Thursday they travel. Kansas City, Friday. And then they have to make their final roster cuts, and then they're going to start getting ready for the Minnesota Vikings on week 1, Monday Night Football.
Wow, it's right around the corner. It comes up fast.
It is happening so fast, and you know, I'm really glad we've been able to slide into some Bears coverage here without really skipping a beat. It's been fun, and we're going to keep following the Bears week to week. The Ben Johnson era has arrived officially last night. I'm excited to see what some of the talking heads and some of the establishment media meatheads had to say today after watching last night. I'm sure they were giddy with excitement.
Are you going to compare notes?
Possibly.
Ooh.
We'll stay tuned for that, and maybe I will share some of those notes that we compared. I don't know if Caleb's going to play.
He might not.
You know, and I don't know if he needs to, in all fairness. So I'll get ready for a lot more Tyson Bagent, everybody, on Friday night, whether Caleb plays a series or two or not.
I'm really glad that the Bears have actually really good backup quarterback.
Yeah. We should all be grateful, and we're probably not going to have him forever. As I said, he's due to get a job somewhere else one day, especially now with having this offensive system on his pedigree.
Sure, and he might become a trading piece, a trading chip for the Bears if there is a need for it.
There's always a need for quarterbacks in the NFL,
exactly.
Nika.
It's like
and
pitchers.
When you have two of them, you're right. I mean, it is like holding poker chips in that regard. So you choose wisely, Ryan Poles.
Please do.